Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 22 of the Oblivion Oath. I am your host and Game Master, Jason Bulmahn. And before we get started today, I just have one or two real quick announcements. First of all, thank you for coming back. We were off next week because I was down in LA filming season 2 of Knights of Everflame. For those of you who are excited for that show, the premiere for that is in just about a week and a half. It's on the 29th. So that's not this coming Tuesday, but it's the Tuesday after that. So look for that. Also, I want to let folks know that tomorrow afternoon, you can tune back in here for the Paizo Friday, where you can meet Liz Liddell, the new designer for the design team, as she goes through the GM guide, gives you a preview of what to expect to see in that book. I think that's about all I got, though, for right now. We should be back and rolling with Oblivion Oath every Thursday for at least quite a while. There are no more outages. Convention season is finally wrapped up. So we're finally back to the point where we can all sit back, relax, and enjoy the Oblivion Oath. So I do have one or two little things here before we get started. First of all, Mikah got 2 hero points awarded to her, one from Elf Tiroth and one from Lone Jedi. So I'll give you those.
Thank you.
I also, Apple Knees bought me a villain point who knows how long ago. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh my stock on those. And and also, I would like to welcome Eric Keith to the table. Eric.
Yay!
There's the camera.
That's right, mug to the camera. Yeah. As a new player, Eric Keith, I will give you 1 hero point for free.
Now I don't have to worry about.
That's as much benevolence as I have for you. The rest has to come from people.
All I need with my Constitution modifier with my character. It's fine.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it's fine.
It's going to be great.
Yeah,
it's going to be great.
You'll totally survive.
All right. So, and we will get to what you are playing in just a moment. So, when we last left our intrepid band of adventurers, the group was making their way south out of Timon, heading to attempt to meet up with the retreating forces of Lastwall. Word had reached you that Lastwall had fallen, and that the nation had kind of given its final command, which was the rally command. All soldiers who were able were to report or meet up with the army in Absalom to regroup and try and figure out what the next steps were. There are no more orders beyond that, as they never even expected to have to give that order. But that order has gone out, and you are traveling with some Lastwall soldiers that you met in Timon. These soldiers were in the process of packing up. They were running kind of a recruitment station in Timon, picking up old gladiators or criminals to send off to Lastwall to serve in the army. But now that the order had been given, they're packing up their station because there's no need to recruit for a nation that doesn't exist. So you have all gathered with them and are traveling south through the river kingdoms. You had a choice of what direction you might take. You could kind of cross the river and head into Kainan, or you could stay on the river kingdom side of the Selen as you make your way south, hoping to meet up with the forces of Lastwall. Along the way, you made good progress, then you camped, then you made more good progress, you camped again, and that second night, while the soldiers were keeping watch, an alarm was raised. Apparently, there was some sort of light or noise off in the woods, and Lieutenant Swift Thistle went out to investigate, while his soldiers roused everyone else and got prepared, and the soldiers heard some sort of cry and feared for the worst. So, everyone gathered together, got up. You left some of the guards here. You brought some of the guards with you, and you ventured out into the forest to attempt to find the missing lieutenant. You found him, tied up and about to be roasted by an ogre who had kidnapped the poor lieutenant and was about to make some ogre stew out of the half-elf lieutenant. Half-elf.
Full elf.
Elf.
Yeah.
Full elf. Not half-elf. Full elf.
It's okay.
Yeah, I got that. And so the group went to fight this nasty ogre and defeated him. And at that, Lieutenant Swift Thistle has been saved.
Saved you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We've already met you. Welcome.
Yeah, I'll just. I presume like now being untied and everything, I'll just kind of like sit there and just be like, kind of limber up a little bit. There's lots of popping noises. I'm guessing not at high HP.
As we wrapped up the session, you searched the ogre and found that around the ogre's wrist, he had a silver crown that he was wearing like a bracelet. Far too small to fit on his big misshapen head. He was wearing it like kind of a bangle around his wrist. And you noticed that around this crown was kind of this leafy pattern. And at the same time, you also noticed this leafy pattern was running around the ruins that are around you, because you're in the middle of this kind of old fallen manor house or keep. It wasn't a large place, but it looked like some time ago it kind of fell into ruin.
Well, let's maybe we poke around a little bit and see if we can't get some find out what this place was, perhaps.
Some knowledge.
Some knowledge, yeah.
I'd be down for this.
Lieutenant, are you well enough to stand on your own 2 feet?
How am I feeling?
You're at half hit points. The ogre kind of sapped you pretty hard with like a giant sack filled with rocks, and then tied you up.
I'll be like, I think I'm pretty okay. I'll reach up, kind of rub the back of my head, and just pull back a bloody hand and be like, oh, or not actually.
And you took quite a amount of damage. Did you take a critical from a hook, big hook?
You know, I have about a third of my hit points left.
Let's medicine up
It's
some...
also dark, right? It's either nighttime or early morning, so maybe...
It is the middle of night.
Yeah.
The only light you have in this place is the ogre's kind of fire, which is kind of this greasy fire that he lit with like moss-covered logs. So the entire place, this entire kind of ruin, is just being cast in this firelight, making all of your shadows leap and dance upon the walls, taller than life.
I think I put light on my staff too. I might have.
You might have on the way out.
But yeah.
Always the practical thinker.
Yeah,
Carina.
I think regardless, maybe we should wait till like dawn to
Indeed.
like search the ruins and stuff, and go back, let them know we're okay at the caravan thing, and heal up.
Yes, good idea. Yes,
There
indeed.
could be
And
more
wasn't
ogres
there
as
like
well.
a guard that died or something? Or went really low?
Did not die, but was very,
Yeah,
very
we
bad.
should probably heal
Miraculous.
him too.
Yeah, you can definitely tell
Yeah.
I'm like checking on my soldiers here and being like, maybe
Oops, we
rest
forgot about that
did
guy that
forget about
almost
that
died.
I've heard, and that guy, and you look over and he's like holding in his organs. I'm fine. I
Walk it
got
off.
this.
Yeah, you're not fine. Let's go get that patched up. Your armor's the only thing holding that in right now.
He's like it's nice and tight. So you do have like 4 privates with you, but I mean these were all recruits from here. Their training has been loose at best. They're soldiers, they're knights, but they're not exactly professionally trained.
I am more protective of them. I presume them to be like, go fight the thing.
That's why you went out to try and check out what the light was, and you didn't send them, because that's just a recipe for... I mean, look, this one's laying on the ground almost dead.
They're red shirts.
Speaking of that light, though, did I find anything? Should I roll?
Did you find anything?
Or was it
The light was the ogre's
The light was the
campfire,
ogre. The thing you discovered was trouble.
Well, it found me pretty well, so...
Yeah. You never would have thought an ogre could be sneaky, but this one was waiting in ambush.
Classic mistake.
Yeah.
So let's make a makeshift splint or something to drag this guy back to the camp.
Yeah, you might actually need to triage him a bit here before you even try and move him. He's not in good shape.
Yeah.
So could somebody give me a medicine check?
I'll do a
please?
medicine check. I'll do my crafting as medicine.
I'm gonna craft him up some medicine.
I'm going to craft him up at 21.
You find some, funny enough, the logs that are piled up nearby happen to have a medicinal moss on them, and you pack the wound with that and tie it up with a bandage. And he's feeling a bit better. That'll give him back some hit points. We're not going to worry about it too much, but he is looking better and is now at least fit to be carried back. He's going to need a day of rest, probably, and more medicine before he's fully recovered.
Half of us are going to need at least that as well.
We have a wagon though, so it'll be fine.
Hop in there.
So yeah,
Let's go.
we'll trudge back to the camp and let everyone know that no one perished on this on this night.
The soldiers are there, and they're with the family. The father and the kids, Oldrew and the Hastings.
The Hastings, yes.
They are there, kind of fearfully being guarded by these soldiers. You get back and explain what happened. The soldiers look all kind of pale and white, and one of them is like, "You don't think there are any more of them out there, do you?"
I mean, it's a big forest. There probably are.
But I mean, right around here. The soldier is like clutching his short sword tightly,
I will just
white-knuckled.
Walk up, just pat him on the shoulder, and just be like, "Take your guard duty very seriously tonight."
He's like, yes, sir. And he looks down at his friend, who's like clearly packaged with like bloody wraps and bandages, and he's like, "Very good, sir."
The back of my head is also just like matted with red that's kind of running down the front.
Yeah, it's like,
How territorial are ogres? Like, if there's one, does that mean that like we've got a couple square miles of his area?
Do they travel in herds?
it's an ogre herd.
Yeah.
Now, you could give me a society check if you want to learn a little bit more about ogres.
I don't think that's gonna work for me.
13.
They're big.
You said you were like
mine
half,
is also 30.
Half health.
half out of hit points. Like how many hit points is that?
I'm down 18.
Okay, so like an hour and a half of praying, I can get both of us back to full hit points.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll take some time, and medicine can help as well, right? You can do a medicine check first.
Work on that. Other soldier.
As long as you're not going out and doing any crazy adventuring, I'm not really going to make you roll for it or worry about it. You have enough time with lay on hands and with medicine that you can get everybody back up to full. And the rest of the night passes uneventfully. The two of you confer about your ogre knowledge, and you come to realize that you don't really know much about ogres. They're big, they're dumb. That's about all you know. You don't. You nothing rattles out of your memory about like, oh, ogres. They definitely travel in packs.
Yeah.
That's not coming to mind. But neither is any real sense about what they actually do.
Then we'll just keep our eyes and ears open for the rest of the night. As you rest.
So I want to note for the rest of you, and this is not for Lieutenant Swift-Thistle. The rest of you, as you rest up that night, you level up.
Yay!
So you're going to get a bunch of new class features and stuff. We'll figure that out between our upcoming sessions. But for now, it's pretty easy to figure out what your new hit points are. That's going to be 6 plus con, 10 plus con, and 8 plus con. And you can generally consider all of your numbers to be one higher. Yeah. At least for right now. There'll be some other features that kick in as soon as we get a chance to do that, but we'll do that between sessions.
Great.
So there you go. Welcome to 3rd level.
Yay!
I'm sure it'll be great.
I just got my familiar from 2nd level. Whoops.
Took a while to find the tyke.
Yeah.
Who has been kind of stumbling about the campsite whenever allowed to kind of roam. So the night, you end up staying up a bit just to do some healing and medicine and stuff. And you're in kind of a swampy area. It's not I wouldn't call it a full swamp, but it's kind of that area between lowlands and swamps. So there's like pools of fetid water, but there's still a path going through here, and it's the ground is just all kind of soft and loamy. And as you camp the rest of the night, you see a lot of like fireflies kind of swarming through the forest throughout the night. But can I get everyone to give me a perception check?
I knew that
For
was
the
gonna.
fireflies?
Could be anything.
They all have human faces. Kidding. That's not what's going on.
So can we calculate our new bonus in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Treat yourself as one higher.
Sweet.
Oh, nice.
Didn't help when you roll a natural 1.
Yeah, mine's not.
Anything that you're trained or higher in is going to be one higher, right?
Yeah.
15.
15.
All right.
24.
Oh, there we go.
9.
9. You notice you have a owlbear cub.
Oh my god!
Where did this come from?
Oh jeez!
That's so bitey.
It's so cute.
For now.
Sara, you notice that the fireflies, they swarm around your camp. They swarm around kind of the swamplands right around you. They don't go near the ruins. Like, the fireflies are kind of staying away from that place.
Okay.
You don't know why.
That's interesting.
But, like, while you're sitting there, you notice that, like, you can see fireflies in every direction except for toward the old keep.
Picturing little fireflies like bobbing around them, like, nope.
No, they just turn and they're like, nah, not doing that.
Okay. I will relay this information to anybody else who happens to be awake.
Oh, yes. And the next morning, by the light of day, I want to take another look at this crown.
Yeah.
At some point.
So the rest of the evening passes uneventfully. You wake up the next morning. Your soldier is feeling a lot better this morning.
Good.
He probably can travel later on today, but he's going to need some time to kind of get mobile again.
Yeah, it's a little tender.
Yeah. He's healed up. He's technically at full hit points, but he's not feeling too great. So the next morning is kind of cold and damp. It is autumn now, and with the turning of the seasons, you're getting a lot more rain. This morning is just kind of a mist, and as a result, there's just kind of a kind of gray haze over the swamp. Wherever you look, you just see that kind of fade of fog, but it might just be mist kind of in every direction, and the sky above is kind of a pale gray light. Leaving you just kind of as you look through the bogs and the fens and the reeds. It's just kind of a quiet morning. Mm-hmm. Getting up, the soldiers are trying to shake kind of some of the dew out of their like packs and stuff, and they're trying to get the fire back up so that they can make a warm breakfast, because it is very clammy. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to do that, just kind of in the middle of the right off the road here. And this does give you some time to prepare your spells for the morning, and make yourself ready. Mikah's looking through the book, and suddenly some of these spells are starting to make more sense to you. Mm-hmm. You've been studying them now for a while, but there are some there's plenty in here that have eluded you that just don't make sense. Yeah. But some of them are starting to be like, oh, I think I know how to cast this now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I suddenly know more things.
Yeah,
weird.
It's almost as if mechanically we just made. All right, forget it. But you're all kind of quietly going about your morning business, and this does give you a chance to kind of look at this crown more carefully. It's a silver crown. Yeah. It is tarnished with age. Looks like it's old. And it has this kind of leafy pattern running around it, and looking kind of turning it around. Yeah. It's mostly even, but there is like a front to it. There's a spot where the leaves kind of arc up, and it looks like there might have once been a setting there for a gemstone, but it's missing.
I maybe have a little bit of chemicals in the back of the wagon. I can maybe start polishing this up a little bit.
Sure.
Getting off some of the verdigris. Yeah. Making it nice. But does it... I've got society. Does it seem like I could think of it? Does this pattern look familiar?
Yeah,
anyway,
you can try.
Have I heard of this? Hey, not bad. Plus 9 is 26.
The in your travels, you've heard a lot about the stories and places of the River Kingdoms, right? I mean, your wagon has kind of traveled all around these places, and you pick up a lot of stories. And the River Kingdoms are rife with tales of like ancient kingdoms, fiefdoms, like people trying to carve a part of the River Kingdoms out for their own. It's kind of the hallmark of this place, that tiny little, seats of power rise and fall with almost constant frequency. And looking at this, you can't honestly be 100% sure. There's not as much detail here as you would like, but there is something sticking in the back of your head that there was some like elven nobles tried to leave Kyanin and expand into this place throughout the years. There have been various attempts by various elven nobility to kind of just, well, there's no real law or rules there, so we can just expand in that direction. But a lot of that is not been too recent when that was in the past. But this may be that. And looking at the filigree and the workmanship of the crown, it's definitely elven.
I'll kind of burst out of the wagon, waving this crown in an excited manner. It's like, my friends, I've made, I think, an interesting development that I've discovered. This crown, I believe, to be elven in nature. Lieutenant Swift-Thistle, I think this is from ancient times when some of the elves of Kaonin broke off a bit and came over here to the River Kingdoms. If we are heading into Kaonin, we might, and we have a few hours while the good private here is still healing, if we bring the elves a sort of token of something from their past, they might look more favorably upon us. I always find a good gift is something you might want to come with when you come to a new person's home. But unfortunately, this crown is missing a bit of its setting. So while we have some time, perhaps we can poke around a bit. As you said, Carina, the light is, better. And maybe we can find something a bit more interesting and, might I dare say, maybe even enrich ourselves.
Ooh. Very enterprising.
You're considering pillaging an old...
Oh, pillaging is such a loaded word, my good lieutenant. I like to think of it as uncovering the past.
Exploring.
All right. I'm always down for physically unearthing history.
Yes, exactly. It'll be enlightening, and if we find some piece of jewelry or bag of gold or what have you that can help us on our travels, we're all just trying to make our way through this world.
It'll be more than just enlightening. Then it'll be enheavening.
Your
coin pouch. Yeah.
Indeed.
So the guards are the rest of the soldiers are still. Tending fire and trying to make breakfast and stuff. So, they're in no condition to really move just yet anyway. Yeah. So if you want, you can go explore the ruins. So you have time.
Let's take a peek.
I'll tell them to go ahead and hold off for a little while. Just maintain the wagons. We'll go check this out real quick.
Yes, sir. We'll keep an eye.
All right. Thank you. I will nod and shall we done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Check this
Quick
out.
question for you, Jason. I'm trained in both elven lore and political lore. If this is an old group of nobles that tried setting off, might I know more about this place?
You might. You can take a look at the crown and at that give me an elven lore skill check.
It's not the best. 17.
Yeah, you kind of know the same thing. The problem is there was a lot of them, and without more identifying marks or notes. Really none of it, it could be one of a dozen. You've heard of a bunch of them, but is this one of them? Is this one that never got recorded? It's kind of hard to tell.
Okay.
There's just too many.
That's fine. I'm with some energetic people, so let's go and cover the past real quick here.
Sure.
It's a fun mystery.
For now.
Mystery.
All right. Well, you make your way back to the ruins, and you find that the ogre's thin, flame has gone out. It is now just kind of a blackened fire pit. The ogre's dead body is still over off to the side, and throughout the night it has attracted quite a swarm of flies that oddly will swarm up to it and try and land and get themselves some fly dinner. But they kind of seem almost hesitant. They'll land on it and then they'll fly away, and then they'll kind of come back.
I'll just laugh and be like, can't blame them.
I mean, it is ogre.
Yeah.
The smell is not great. Not that it was great before. I mean, this place is a swamp. So what would you like to do? You're kind of surrounded by old crumbling walls. You can tell that the area that you're in used to be interior. It doesn't look like it much anymore because there's, swamp water has sunk in parts of it, and just moss and dirt and filth have covered up much of the floor. But here and there, throughout all the grime, you can see what looks like cobble stone underneath.
Yeah. Poke around. Perception check, maybe?
Sure.
Or something else. I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
With what you mentioned, Carina, about the fireflies last night and these flies here, we must maintain vigilance.
Yeah.
Fireflies?
16.
Yes.
You take a look around, and although you don't see anything immediately, you're just kind of looking about the ruins. This place looks like over the years bandits maybe have picked it over quite a bit. But when you search around the place, you find something interesting that looks out of sorts. In the back, like kind of up on a bit of a hill, this keep is on what is ostensibly a small hill, giving it a bit of an overlook of the road. But up and back, there's an area that looks like it contained the wall looks like it contained a doorway of sorts. But the doorway was cleverly hidden. It looks kind of mostly like ordinary wall, but it looks like something very recently smashed it, just broke it open. The stones are knocked inside, and it is revealing a kind of broad staircase going down into darkness.
Oh, I'm sure that's fine.
This has never ended poorly for anybody.
Yeah. Does it look like an ogre knocked in the door or something bigger?
It looks like an ogre. The ogre may have done this. It looks like the way that the blocks are knocked in, like where they're broken away, the inside, like that inside area, isn't covered in moss and mildew and filth. So it looks like it was kind of sealed up.
Okay. I will shout out to my companions and say, hey, it looks like maybe this is where the ogre found that crown.
Perhaps.
I'll walk over, yeah.
Shall we go down into the basement?
It almost looks like the ogre, because you see all these other kind of weird marks in the area, it almost looks like the ogre was like using the blocks of stone from this place as like thrown weapons and was practicing with them and may have broken open the wall.
Okay.
Also used as a sap very effectively.
Yeah, no. As it turns out, a big bag of these rocks hurts a lot when you buy it. Yeah.
I reckon.
Very resourceful ogre.
And you use what you got.
Yeah.
Well, I can, if you want, I can head down first. I do have dark vision, which might help.
I've pulled a torch out of my backpack and I've started like lighting it very slowly with flint and tinder.
That's
a good
light
idea.
on my staff.
There you go.
Again.
Indeed.
All right.
Oh, right, I do have an ever-burning torch. Actually, no need, Lieutenant, I have this.
You have so much light in the party between dark vision and light spells and ever-burning torch. It's not a problem, but you get these sources of light, and they flicker to life in the dim. And up here in the ruins, as you kind of stand in the middle of these gray moss-covered ruins, you look down into this kind of yawning chasm, this staircase going down into darkness. And as you stand near it, the first thing you notice as you're about to enter is that wafting up is the kind of really old, dusty mildew kind of stench is rising up from this place.
Hey, Mikah, how's that key feeling?
Yeah, I just had that same thought.
We all did.
It's fine. It's normal right now.
Do you check it?
Yes.
All right. You pull out this ancient looking key, and if you recall, I said last time after you used it, it looked less tarnished, less old, less kind of cracked.
Yeah.
Is that something like I would notice? Carina would notice that?
Now that you're seeing it in the light of day, because that was kind of in the middle of a mess, it does look a little different.
Huh. Is that the same key?
Yeah, it's the same.
Huh. It just looks... I just remember it being in worse condition.
It kind of was. I don't know what happened to it.
Oh, okay.
Is
Maybe it got cleaned off in my pocket or something.
Oh, there you go. That's probably it.
Yeah, that's it. It became less dirty and less old because it was in a pocket.
I
My
don't.
int is +1. It makes perfect sense to me.
No offense, I don't think this key is gonna unlock anything down there. You all seem to be very worried about this key.
Yeah, it gets weird when there's like dead things around. So
Yes.
that's why.
It gets weird when there's dead things around.
Yeah.
Lieutenant, so they have told me. Again, I have yet to see it, so I think they might. Well, I don't want to say they're overreacting because we must keep ever vigilant.
That's fine.
But let's.
I'm not really courageous enough to wear it myself, but Mikah says that it gets cold whenever there's like dead around. Or
I see it.
We've had some issues with undead.
My
We'll just say that.
I just presumed you were you worshipped the god Abadar.
Abadar?
Yeah.
No, this key was, we can call it a gift. It was given to us.
I see, and it gets funky when there's undead nearby.
Yeah, this is actually why we were going to try to find somebody who's like higher ranking in the Last Wall army. We think that they might be able to help us uncover this mystery.
We were given it by a Last Wall knight.
Oh, okay. As soon as you said that last part, like the severity suddenly clicks again, and it's with us. Like, I see. Well, I will keep a close eye on it as well. Then let me know if undead are about.
We'll figure it out.
Awesome.
So I should note, by the way, that Sev stayed back at the wagons.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
As you were leaving, she was busy entertaining the kids.
Fair.
Oh yeah. She's fluting it up.
Before we go down into this staircase, I think I'm going to grab a piece of paper out of my belt pouch and leave a little note, like stack a rock on top of it right near the door that says, "We went down here."
That's very smart, honestly.
Well, not approvingly. This seems like a good idea.
So you begin making your way down this staircase.
Something for the next adventurers to find. A clue for them. Good job.
I'm
going to record
the next group of adventurers. We went down here. That's weird. Let's not do that. And
there might be loot down here.
No. So you're able to kind of venture down the stairs into the darkness. Bringing the light with you, you find that the staircase you're on, which is about 10 feet wide, goes down a good ways. You realize that you must be going down deep into the hill underneath this old ruin. And the stair goes down for about 15 feet or so. Then there's a landing, turns, continues going down. So it goes down quite a ways. And as you begin to make your way down here, and as the light slowly fades from up above, and instead the only light that you have now is the flickering radiance from your spells and the ever-burning torch, the sounds from up above begin to fade away as well, the sounds of the swamp, and you find that only your footfalls now, and the occasional kind of like the kind of distant sound of water dripping is the only thing you really hear. And soon, the staircase ends at a chamber.
Like a door?
No, there's no door. It just kind of dumps into a chamber, and there is like a rusted portcullis above you, but it's open.
Okay.
Does it again look smashed open like maybe an ogre just...
No, it actually looks like it's there's a bit of a rusted mechanism next to it that looks like it's like the lever for it, but it's just old, right? And just kind of like it's not level in its ruts anymore. It's kind of tilted to one side.
Okay.
And making your way, looking beyond it, you're looking in what appears to be what's probably best described as like a storage room, like it looks like a cellar. There are old barrels along one wall that look like they're leaking some sort of like black tarry liquid. There are some kind of bashed open crates along one side that look like they've been like destroyed or smashed by like, I don't know, like maybe a giant fist hit them. And but everything inside looks like it's like clothes and things like that. It looks kind of scattered about over there. One of the casks on one side has had like a hole punched in it, and there's like a splash of kind of black. It looks like it might have been wine at one point in time, but it's gone to vinegar and is gross and blackened, and it smells kind of awful.
Oh, if only we had a goblin here.
So there's two other things to note in this room. One, there are a number of passageways. There are 3. One in each of the side walls, one directly ahead of you. Unlike the stairs, though, these are small. These are like 5 foot wide passageways. 2 of them have doors. One of those doors is open, and then there's the one directly across from the stairs that is open and looks like it has another staircase going further down.
Oh.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is the skeleton in the center of the room. There is sprawled out in the middle of the floor and kind of knocked about is a skeleton that looks like it's wearing kind of fine looking clothing, but totally ruined by mildew and age. Like you can see like velvets in the kind of mildew and rot. The skeleton is there. Its skull is a good 4 feet away.
Okay. Does it feel like this is where the body had been originally laid to rest, or like, I mean,
Did any of you trained in survival?
Yeah.
Give me a check.
All right.
We learned after Zell left that none of us are trained in
That's,
survival.
no.
14. I can't roll well.
Well, so it's actually a really easy check to notice the kind of basics in this room. There was a layer of kind of mildew and grime that's clearly been disturbed, right? So you can make out the footprints of probably the ogre. They're really big, and they're all over the room. And they kind of go up to the crates, they go up to the barrels, they go up to each one of the kind of doors and entries, but they don't go beyond because, well, it doesn't look like the ogre could easily fit down those, so he just didn't. But they do go around the body, and the body looks disturbed, but it looks like this is where the body's probably mostly been. Like, it looks like the body moved because something shoved it around recently, but it doesn't look like it moved far. Like, it's disturbed like a foot, right? And the skull is kind of just sitting off over on the side.
okay. Well, I think Carina, while people are poking around, is going to put the pieces, all back in the same place, kind of try to lay it out, because got to be respectful to the deceased.
I'll help you with that.
So give me a medicine check.
Okay. Alrighty. 10. Yay.
10 isn't going to tell you too much, but it tells you 1 or 2 really simple things. One, this isn't a human. The skull is the wrong shape.
Okay.
It's it's a little longer than it should be. This might be, based on the length and size of the bones, this might be an elf.
Okay.
Might be. Could be half elf. It's kind of hard to tell. There's no, it's literally just bones.
Yeah, I mean, it's not
Old.
super important to Carina, like, who it is, more just that, like,
Fair.
as somebody who worships Pharasma very faithfully, she can't just leave a body
Shouldn't leave.
disturbed
Corpses
like this.
desecrated.
Let me tell you the other thing that's really obvious that you notice when you bring the skull back. 'Cause
Oh,
you said
no.
specifically you bring the skull back
Yeah, all the pieces.
and put the piece back together.
Oh, no.
It has
You
glowing red
notice
eyes.
that one of its vertebrae has been sheared right in half.
Huh. That's
Like-
strange.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think
Right
these,
around.
I think these pieces are supposed to
mid-neck.
go together.
like the bones are like, so it's a skeleton, but there's like old, dry, desiccated like sinew and like tendons, right? Still like kind of holding some of the bones together. You move a few of them and they just kind of fall apart, but some are still kind of connected. There's old bits of rotted, like blackened flesh still on some spots. I mean, but it's mostly a skeleton. The thing you notice that's really odd is that there are like the vertebrae, some of them come apart, some of them are still together. But you find one in particular that's been cut in half.
cleanly-ish.
Cleanly.
I was thinking cut in half. This
Oh, yeah. I know, me too.
Oh, no.
No,
figure that out.
no, not that way. The other way.
hot dog style.
Does this
Hot
mean,
dog
like,
style. I don't even know what that is. Moving on.
I think with kind of like a little bit of fascination, Karina's just like, does this mean his like head was cut off?
Probably.
Oh, yes.
I wonder what did that.
But I wonder why they did that.
Yeah.
So, also when you pick up the skull, like it's covered in grime and mildew, and you kind of turn it over, and the empty sockets are just filled with grime. But you notice that around its temple, there's a spot where it's cleaner.
Oh, hey, did you bring that crown with you? Because I
yes.
think we need to put it back. That was pillaged from a dead body.
Get the feeling this thing might have been moving recently up until the ogre came down here.
What? No. I think the ogre saw the crown and took it off, and
Maybe.
we gotta,
The ogre didn't seem to have any tool on it that would have, like,
Chop the head off.
chopped the head
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
He had a hook.
No. And at this point, the bones probably would have just disintegrated, like if they were impacted. Like
That's fair.
you know,
Yeah.
I think the
Most of the body's still kind of in its original
Yeah.
position that it looks like it's been in for a long time. It's kind of covered in mildew.
I'll just sit there and be like, after you point out like the completely reasonable thing, I was like, just kind of adjust my nose here.
yeah.
But there's still like a missing diadem or gem of some kind
Yeah, you
in
don't
this
see that here,
crown.
no.
Indeed, it pains me a little bit to hand this over
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah.
But it's so nice and shiny. Okay, here you go.
I'm just saying.
I totally want to respect
I can't
this.
be pillaging graves. That's very bad.
Indeed. But we should
You
maybe.
can't pillage graves. That is
I can't,
absolutely true.
that's right.
This is not a grave, though.
Well, it's a dead body.
it is a dead body.
Yeah.
Desecrating the dead is not.
Yeah.
We'll lay them to rest once we're done exploring this place.
We can see if we can find other gifts
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
elves.
I'm gonna just maybe poke around a little bit, maybe see if like the head was, if this person had their head chopped off while they were still living, and the head rolled over to where it was, and then maybe the gem bounced off of the crown. I can like follow that trajectory to see if I can't
yeah, sure.
find a loose
You're
diadem.
better
I'm doing a little CSI
Yeah, you're
nonsense.
CSIing, yeah, sure. Go ahead and give me a perception check.
Sure thing. That is a 21.
You take a good look around and you find nothing. You kind of go through the muck and the mildew over toward that corner, and you don't
Poking it with my cane.
You don't see anything.
If we're doing CSI, I want to make the light on my staff a black light. Actually, I probably don't.
No, not in the dungeon.
On this gross dungeon.
So yeah, you're all sitting here, kind of exploring this chamber, and off in the distance, you can just hear kind of. It's deathly silent down here. It's very quiet. I mean, it is quite literally quiet as a grave, right? There is.
But it's not a grave.
Technically it is right
Quite.
now.
I mean, he is underground.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah. Do we want to go further in and explore, or are we good?
No, I'd like to know more about what happened here. This is a mystery, an age-old murder mystery.
There's doors we haven't looked in yet. I feel like
Yes. Okay.
I'm curious enough.
I would like to maybe look up the last name or see if we can find some sort of identifier.
Indeed.
I mean, for all we know, their relatives are still alive.
Maybe, yes, and we can help them put to rest any questions they might have.
All right. So you continue to kind of go into this place. There are kind of three directions you can go. There's an open door that actually has a door. That the door is open about 1.5 feet. It's not fully open. There's a closed door on the other wall, and then directly ahead there's a open passageway with another staircase going down.
Right. I'll start with a half-open door.
Sure,
I'd
yeah.
say. I'll
Okay.
take my cane and kind of push it open
Sure.
as I peer in with my torch.
All right. You push the door open a bit wider, and it takes some work because the hinge is rusty and really old, and it kind of screeches as you kind of push the door open wider. And you're able to kind of make your way down that way, and you find another room filled with more supplies. There are some chests in here that look undisturbed. There are some more barrels. And along one wall, there is an ancient wine rack. that has bottles in it. Now, one side of this chamber, I should note, looks like it is kind of collapsed a little. The wall looks like it's kind of given away, and there is some sort of snaking passageway, natural-looking passageway that leads off into the darkness that you can hear drips and
Underground tunnel.
you have no idea whether or not it goes very deep or far or not, but it definitely leaves this chamber. At least you can kind of see a snaking passageway.
I will at this point get my bow off my back and just kind of stare down there while you're investigating the room. I'm just kind of in like Overwatch mode.
We didn't really like bring any spelunking gear, so I don't know that I really want to go in there.
Also, the room looks unstable. Don't move things around.
So give me a... Anyone have any skills related to
caving,
architecture? Anybody got anything similar? Society will do if you don't have anything.
Underworld, but that's not. I don't think what that word means.
No.
Probably not.
Theater lore.
Theater lore.
I'm gonna keep trying until it works.
Yeah, no, that's not going to get you there. But society will kind of, it'll
Try
do in a
society.
pinch. It's not a great, the DC is higher. But
23 though.
Can you do that untrained?
No, you can, but you.
No worries.
So, taking a look around, the thing that you're kind of struck with is that it looks like parts of it have collapsed, but there's no way this wasn't always here. Right? It doesn't. It looks like this might have been a room kind of carved out of kind of a natural cave system, possibly.
Okay.
And like laid with cobble and stuff and made into more of a room, but part of it had a crevice that went off into the darkness. And while the wall around it looks like it's kind of collapsed a bit, there's no way that wasn't here when whoever built this.
Okay.
Right? Because that didn't erode.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I'll kind of stand up from my hunched position, like ready, and just like, all right.
There's not all this like the thing that leads you down that path is that the room isn't filled with like all this debris or anything. It's
Anybody want to send some light down that way?
I can hold my torch up at the mouth of the cave tunnel. Does it lead?
I mean,
does it lead down?
It goes somewhere into the darkness, but you're that would be quite an exploration right at the moment. You would have to.
Does it go down at all?
Mark
or
it
is
on a
kind
map.
It looks
We'll
like
come
it
back
kind
to
of the passageway looks like it does kind of curve down into the darkness, but it looks like it's going to require quite a bit of climbing to kind of get there.
Oh boy, yes.
I'm a dwarf in armor.
No. We don't do spelunking is not, as you said, not on the menu
But I
for
am
today.
kind of curious to maybe like see if we can take a couple of those bottles with us and
Yeah.
maybe like just for now set it near the staircase going back up so we can grab them on the way out.
Good idea.
If anything that looks like it hasn't turned to awful vinegar.
Yeah, they're sealed old, like really old bottles. They look like it's probably like you. As a matter of fact, this is the first time you've seen something with writing on it. You pull off, and some of the bottles have labels.
I mean, even the bottles might be worth something, even if the.
Do any
wine
of you
isn't.
speak Elven?
Ooh, good question.
I mean, no, I don't. That
Yeah,
would be
I would assume you do. So, you're able to look at the bottles.
Oh, same.
The bottles are of Cayenne vintage, and they are all dated from the 4200s. Or sorry, not 4200s. 45. They're from like 4520 or 4530.
How old does that make?
It's like
What year
200
is it
years.
That
currently?
makes them almost 200 years old.
Okay.
It's 47.
Do I recognize the vineyard these are from?
No, they don't. They're of like, they're Cayenne vintage, but the vineyard name doesn't make any sense to you. It must have changed over the years.
Martha is
makes
not
sense.
an elven
Martha,
name.
yeah, no. And looking at them, you can clearly tell a lot of them have gone bad just by tilting them up and holding them to the light. The old, blackened bottles. You look inside and you're like, no,
Like
that's
sediment.
not.
Yeah, gross.
Well, they all have some sediment in them, but holding them up to the light, you can tell that some of them have gone like cloudy on the inside and stuff, and that's bad.
I'm sure you can fix
but
it with
there's
magic.
going through them, there's maybe 2 or 3 bottles that you have no idea if they taste good anymore, but they might be okay.
This one has a nice claret color to it. Let's bring that along.
Pop it open. No.
Maybe if we find something to celebrate.
Maybe.
So you
Anything in
make
those
your,
crates?
you open up the crates, and the crates look like they at one point in time had food in them. And by that I mean it had like wheat and things like that, and you can tell that's what it was, but it's not food anymore.
Okay. Just curious.
Old, spoiled, like food.
Terrific.
There's one crate that has like old, like dried meat and stuff in it that maybe might still be good,
No,
but that would be a big risk.
Yeah.
Let's leave it. We have rations.
Wouldn't even feed that to the owlbear.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, no.
We don't want
I'm
to
assuming
get
you brought the owlbear with.
Yeah, I'm kind of scared because it's little and like
Kind of stomping around.
I hadn't known that it was gonna be like a underground mission because I was like, oh, it could stretch its legs and stuff, and now I'm kind of like, oh no, I hope so.
Well, it can still stretch its legs and
Yeah,
on an
I'm just worried
underground
about it.
Indeed.
It's my baby.
I have a great idea. Let's build an estate in the swamp. I have a better idea. Let's make an underground section going into the swamp. I have an even better idea. There's another section that goes deeper.
That one burnt down,
Yeah.
fell over.
Yeah, I'm just sitting like outside.
All of this is great.
Yeah.
Right.
All right,
Do
so
we want to check out the other room before taking the passage down
Yeah,
further?
let's check out that door.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna peer at it a little bit, and does it look? I'm not a rogue.
I just rolled for you. What do you got?
Okay, it's a +5 perception.
All right, so you take a look around the door, and but you don't really see anything out of the unusual, out of the ordinary. The door has a handle. It does not appear to have a lock.
Okay, I'll creak it open.
Okay. What you find beyond this door, to keep life simple, is a passageway that leads to a series of chambers that looks like some sort of barracks. It looks like there's a number of old, like, rotted straw mattresses and stuff in here. Now, barracks could also be cells. It's hard to tell which one this was actually meant to be used for. The doors leading into each one of the cells do appear to have old locks on them, but they're all open.
Right.
And that's kind of a long row of those. This area also shows similar signs of having been made out of natural caverns. There are spots where the wall is just kind of not fully solid, and it leads off into a crevice or crack that leads off into the darkness. There's a bunch of these in this passageway, and most of them just go like 5-10 feet and then just end. But there's like 2 at least that kind of go off into darkness, and you're not sure if they go for a mile or 50 feet. You can't tell. This kind of long arcing thing leads back to another chamber that looks like it might have at one point in time been a kitchen of some sorts. There's a fire pit on one side and shelves, and there are ancient, kind of long turned to dust herbs hanging from the ceiling that have, are now just thick with spider webs and cobwebs. I should call them cobwebs. There's no, you can't imagine that there's a spider living down in here anymore. This place is dry and dead, but this room in particular is very cobweb filled.
This is very interesting. They didn't move away from this place. It looked like they were just possibly fled in terror, or were, fingers crossed, this did not happen, all murdered in their sleep or something like that. Sorry to be macabre, but this seems like it was a lived-in building until it wasn't.
Until the end.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So should we? Yeah.
This whole area, all the stuff that's down here, almost seems like it's some sort of like if you had a keep and you wanted a place to keep people safe in the event of a siege or something.
Okay. Yeah.
You might have storerooms like this underneath it. Like, it's not uncommon for like them to have like an inner kind of secured area, which would explain why the portcullis and whatnot to get into here, and the hidden door to, and the mechanism for the portcullis is on the inside, not the outside.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but if you were moving out on purpose, all that storage, all that dried goods and whatnot, you take that with you.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well,
there aren't bodies.
we can
Just the
Other
one.
than the one.
Something happened here.
head down the staircase thing.
Yeah, let's head down the staircase.
So you make your way down the staircase, and the staircase doesn't go for very far. It goes down about 10 feet and then levels back out into another chamber. So it's not like another thing going 50 feet down into the darkness. But you are now starting to feel the kind of oppressive weight of being deeper underground. And you enter a chamber that looks like it might have been the stairs dump out and into another kind of rectangular chamber, the walls of which are covered in bookshelves. Now, there's not a lot of books here, but there are some kind of stacked on the wall, and one area has scrolls in it. And of note, in the middle of the room, there's kind of a lectern with a book open on top of it. There are also 2 more doors leading out of this chamber, both of which are closed.
I'm gonna head over to that lectern myself. I suspect somebody else is too.
Yeah, I'm a reader.
Yeah, sure. So you head over to the book, and it appears to be written in Elven.
Cool. I read Elven.
Great.
Turns out.
So it is open to one page, and it looks like this is the final words written on this. And the book.
Oh, no.
So the book is. So you got a big book.
Drones in the deep.
Let me describe. You got a big book, and it looks like you're at about the point you're at the book is about 2/3 of the way through, and it looks like now that you're looking at it, it looks like some sort of log or journal book.
Okay.
That's what you see.
Success. We found what we're looking for.
Yeah, I'll read that last few lines. It's always. I don't want to touch the pages yet, fear of it crumbling because of age or whatnot. But
You look through. You look at the last entry, and it says, "I am all that is left. My wife and child left this morning, fearing they might be the next victims. May Callistria grant me vengeance on these foul spirits that have driven away my love. I shall venture into the caves tonight, and this will end one way or the other."
I read it. I was reading that out loud.
Yeah.
Meant to say that.
Dramatically.
Yes.
I have my hand on my bow again, just like not feeling any better.
Nope.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
That's spooky.
it is.
Does it say who wrote it? It's just
No, I can take a look at if there's.
So you can start flipping through it if you want.
Yeah.
Be careful
Yeah.
with it.
I'll. Is there a tiny spatula for me to turn the pages with?
No.
I would have to. Yeah.
I was gonna say you could use a dagger in there. I realize this is my clan dagger, and you're not gonna
no.
use
You're not using my
I'm not going to use your clan dagger. Don't worry
You
about
could use
that.
my axe to flip pages.
There we go.
Let me be delicate with this book. Give me your axe. Yeah, I mean, you can turn the pages.
Yeah.
They're delicate, but
Right,
they
yeah,
are.
be
I mean, they're made of vellum, so they've held up. The book is fragile though.
Yeah.
And you start flipping through it, and you kind of like look on the back and kind of dig through it. And I'm gonna be honest, it takes you like a good hour or so to kind of get a sense of what this is even all about. Regardless of that ominous final passage, you quickly come to realize that this is. Let me double check, make sure. This is house. This is the keep of House Karasoth. The patriarch of which is named Prince Lirin Karasoth. This book is the journal, the log of his desire to come to the River Kingdoms and carve a fiefdom out for himself back in the year 4582.
You're an elf.
Sure am.
Is it okay to like take this kind of thing out, like the book? Like, would that be?
I mean, if anything, we could get it back to this person's ancestors,
Yeah.
assuming that they're still
Okay.
around.
I think we should do that.
House Karasoth still exists.
Yeah.
So, looking through this book, the early entries are just kind of filled with the challenges of trying to establish a foothold in the wilderness. This area is described as kind of a wilderlands between other powers, and hopefully he might be able to tame it and bring civilization to this part of the. And by that, it's clear that he means elven civilization to this part of the River Kingdoms. It looks like the young house faced a lot of challenges in its early days, depredations from wild beasts and things like that, but soon managed to kind of secure the area and make the kind of trail, the trade route nearby, a profitable one where travelers would stop and do trade and pay coin to stay at the keep. Soon after, and this is about halfway, this was several years into the building of this kingdom, there is an entry that discusses the discovery of a system of caves beneath the manor, and that work began to create a redoubt within the keep, a place where his family might be safe in case of marauders or bandits that tried to sack the place. There's an entry that is about 3 or 4 months after that work began that describes a brutally slain worker found down in the caves. Prince Lirin, in rage, assumed it was one of the other workers, that some sort of strife had led them to murder. Arresting all of them involved. His suspicions were scattered when there was another murder while all of them were in prison. And so it began. Throughout the rest of the journal, there's constant talk about the murders and eventually sealing up the place so that no one could go down there, but still the murders continued. The Lord, growing ever more paranoid and fearful, began to seriously consider abandoning this place, this holdfast, and returning to Kyanan in failure. Just pages before the end, you see an entry that just says, "The stomping, the clanking, the footsteps of the damned." And as you read that out loud to the rest of the party, you hear a rusted and then doom.
Oh, we all know what that is.
See, it's a good thing I left that note on the outside.
And then you hear a sound of scraping metal. Dum, some.
Oh, come on.
Some.
Where's it coming from?
Something from upstairs sounds like there's some sort of metal stomping. And that is where I'm ending today's adventure. I want to thank you all for joining us here today for another exciting episode of the Oblivion Oath. Tune in next Thursday as we continue the exploration of the fall of House Karasoth.
Ooh.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.